The Tesla Model S, it has been an icon and Tesla's flagship since 2012 when it started production. But nowadays prices are low, they're dropping, and they might be in your price range now. So should you buy one? Well, we'll go a little deeper in this video because there's a lot to know before you go out and buy one of those cheap Tesla Model S's out there. Yeah, these are cool cars. Tesla Model S, always been a cool car, still is a cool car, but actually I planned this video for a few months now, and just recently Elon Musk announced that they actually will take it off the menu, delete it, be done with it. Production will end in the second quarter of 2026. So it is now the beginning of March 2026, so the second quarter doesn't start until the end of this month, and then they will phase it out. So I guess you can order one probably till the end of this month, maybe a little longer, depending on the demand, I would think. But yeah, they pretty much kicked it off. They're done with the Model S and the Model X. So, but that said, these here gotten cheaper and cheaper, especially over the last year. And now they're in a price range where they become really affordable for many people. But most people don't know enough about these. Some just heard horror stories about batteries going out, drive units going out, all kinds of problems, tire wear, this and that. And so most people shy back at this point and say, oh, I'm not going to buy one of those. They have too many problems. But is it really a problem? Well, we'll dive into that a little later here. Probably not in this video. This is part one of a series. I'm not sure how many videos I will have, 2, 3, 4, because there's so much to know about these cars. And the more you know, the more of an educated decision you can make, because there is lots to know. And don't necessarily believe all the horror stories, but also don't necessarily believe the Tesla fanboys that tell you these are perfect, right? It's a used vehicle at this point. Like I said, they started production in 2012. It is 2026. That is 14 years of Model S's out there. And back when, things were a little bit different. Technology was a little bit different. So there's a lot to know. And in this video, we're basically getting into the differences so that you even know what you're looking for, because you might not know what you're looking for. Today, when you order a Tesla, you go on the website. What can you choose? You can maybe choose a standard model and a long-range model, right? There's maybe 1 or 2 there, or a rear-wheel drive and an all-wheel drive or something like that, right? Not 2 or 3 options of a basic model that you can order. And then you have, what, 4, maybe 5 colors to choose from, depending on which model you order. Then maybe you can swap the interior depending on what it is. So usually if you choose a long-range vehicle, you can then maybe add a white interior. If you go and look at the Model S and X, I guess you could do the black on standard, the white is an option, and a beige color, a cream color is an option, I think, still on the S and X at this point. So, and that's about it. There's nothing else. You can no longer buy full self-driving. Full self-driving is a subscription. And we also get into a little bit of full self-driving with these here, the early ones. Yeah, there's not much there, right? But when this here was produced, this is a 2013. So this is past the signature series of cars. I don't remember if this is a 3000 or a 7000 win, something like that. Very early anyway. But yeah, back when, this was basically all a la carte. You had a menu and you could choose all your options individually. Not like when you go to a car dealership, you know, GM or whatever, Ford or wherever you go to, right? Or you go on their website and you build a vehicle, you get all these optional packages. Yes, they had packages available that would bundle things together. But still, right off the bat, you basically could initially get each individual thing. You didn't have to buy packages. Yeah, like I said, with a legacy car maker, you buy packages, and they usually have 3 or 4 packages available, and each package has one of the things you want. So you get all 4 packages, and before you know it, your starting price was $20,000, and now you're at $45,000, right? So, but yeah, Tesla had basically a menu, and you could just check off what you wanted. And well, you could get, I don't remember, a whole bunch of different colors actually on these. So you were able to get more colors. I think there was you could get any color if you paid a certain amount of money or something like that. So yeah, there were a lot of options. If you went to a Tesla showroom, you could actually see all the colors that they had. You could see the interior color, the fabrics. You could touch the fabrics. So there was the basic, like this is a basic model, by the way, back here. You can't tell really. You could maybe tell by the rims, but I could throw the other rims on and then you couldn't tell, right? Because I got the bigger rims too, and then it looks like a performance model or whatever. So, but anyway, yeah, like Alcantara, you know, you could get back when, or you could get just a basic textile on the pillars and the headliner. So you could go touch all that. And by the way, back when they had real leather. So, and I tell you right now, there were no animals harmed to obtain this leather. No, these animals were harmed so you could eat a burger at McDonald's or wherever, or get your steak, okay? So a lot of people say we want vegan leather because we don't want to kill animals. Well, there was no animal harmed for this leather. This leather comes from the cows that were killed for your steak. And vegan leather, by the way, is made with oil. And there's a lot of people out there that drive Teslas. They say, I'm against big oil. Well, guess what? What you're sitting on in your Tesla is oil. Vegan leather is a synthetic fabric made from oil. So, but these older ones, they had real leather. So that is one thing to know right there. Because real leather needs a little bit different treatment than the vegan leather. The vegan leather is pretty simple. I mean, you can spill stuff on it, wipe it off. On the other hand, real leather needs a little treatment. Appreciates a leather treatment once in a while, right? So it doesn't crack and get all nasty. So there's already your first difference between the new ones and these older ones. I'm not sure exactly when the Model S switched to the vegan leather. I suspect in about 2017, 2018, when the Model 3 came out, because the Model 3 was on vegan leather seats, right? So I would assume maybe around the same time they switched. But from 2012 to that point, it's real leather. So if you don't want real leather, well, look at it, make sure you get what you want. And, well, you may be no longer able to afford it because you have to buy a so much newer Model S in order to get the vegan leather. But like I said, that leather in here comes from the cows that we ate. Burgers, steaks, right? So, well, anyway, that is one of the differences. We had real leather in here. Then, as I mentioned, Alcantara. I could have the headliner in Alcantara. I think it only came in black back when. But it looks like a suede, like a leather, kind of almost. It touches, it feels soft, compared to the regular textile fabric thing that you find basically in every car on the headliner and the pillars in here. So, yeah, so that is a couple things in the interior. Different colors were available in the interior. I think back when we had the black, the cream, and the white. I think that was it too, the 3 colors. So you can get different color. Oh, now we had gray. What am I talking about? Gray. I got gray in here. So you were able to get different interior colors. So we had the gray, which is this one. We had a white, we had a cream, we had a black. Did you have anything else? Well, make sure you look. And there's another thing. This gray quite frequently looks like cream in pictures. Okay, so if you look online and they say it's gray, but the picture looks like cream, or the other way around. So either they wrote it up wrong, or the picture is just not showing the color right. So pay attention to that too. So it may be worth making a phone call and say, hey, what color is it really? Is it cream or is it gray? Because yeah, I looked at so many of those, and in many pictures, the gray looks like cream or the cream looks like gray. Black is usually relatively easy to identify. Still talking about the interior seats. Seats have changed. You will find between 2012 and 2018, probably at least 2, if not 3 different styles of seats. They slightly changed, the cushions changed, the side bolsters changed a little bit. So they're all a little bit different. There was a black, I think, that had this red, what they call piping around, which is just like a piece of a trim almost. So there was some of those out there. So there's a whole variety of things that you will find out there. So you gotta look at all this. And now that said, this here is, well, this is a 2013, so this is 13 years old. Who knows what has been done to a vehicle since it was produced? Someone could have swapped the seats out. That is possible. Their seats maybe were not nice anymore, they were worn out, whatever. They put another set of used seats in from somewhere else. You could find mismatched seat front rear. You could find all kinds of things. So you got to pay attention to this. Because otherwise, yeah, pay attention to it or you don't know what you get, right? What else do we have on the interior? The interior overall has stayed the same with the vertical screen till what? 2021? I think finally in 2021 they switched to the horizontal screen. Also, with that switch, I think that was about the time, yeah. In 2021, they finally switched over to the phone key. So, these here, they all came with key fobs. And, well, this is the key fob here. It kind of looks like a car. There we go. Oh, my daughter made it fancy. My daughter has been driving this, so she made it sparkly here. But basically, yeah, they came with this. Originally, there was a leather cover. I still have one of the 2 leather covers. But they all came with a key fob. So you will have to carry this key fob to unlock the car. You can open the front from here. You can open the trunk from here. I mean, you can open the charge port from here. It can do a whole bunch of stuff here, but you will need it. The phone will not unlock your car automatically. And that's another kind of misconception that people have, that because today, since 2018, the Model 3, and then the Model Y, and then the Model S and X last, would have a phone key. The phone key on the Model 3 was standard. There was no key fob. So all it is, you walk up with that phone to a Model 3, 2018 Model 3, and it unlocks for you. These cars don't, and I'm pretty sure it was 2021 when they finally got this feature, okay? I can go into the app here, and I can unlock the vehicle from the app, and I can have, in the controls on the app, I have a remote start function, and I can press that remote start, and then the vehicle can power up without the key fob. Now, there's been people that said, well, my 2016 Tesla, it has a phone key. And that's what they were talking about, okay? They don't have, there's no Tesla out there, I'm pretty sure it's 2021 when they started getting the phone key. If you know, if I'm wrong about the year, put it down below in the comments, please. I may be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was 21 with the refresh. But anyway, so this, with the phone here to unlock this vehicle, only works if you have cell phone reception, first of all, on your cell phone. And second, the car needs to have cell phone reception as well. And the car is not on the same network as you are necessarily. I mean, it could be, potentially. So you may have reception and the car don't, or the car may have reception and you don't. It's not going to work. You cannot unlock or start your vehicle remotely. And people have gotten into trouble with this when they pulled into a parking structure and they went down, 3 stories down on the ground, no cell phone reception. They walk away from the car sucks its door handles in, locks because it knows you're gone, you're out, and then you come back and it won't unlock. And you can't use your cell phone because neither you nor your car has reception, right? And then you say, well, I go outside so I have reception. Well, then you have reception, but the car don't. So people have gotten stuck like this. And the only way is, at that point, basically, to bring a key fob to the car. And so people that got in that predicament, they had to call someone and had them bring a key fob to unlock the car. So you gotta have the key fob with these Teslas. Well, Model S, before, I believe, 21. So that's another issue that you may run into that you don't know about. And so, vertical screen, we talked about that. It eventually, 21, I believe, it came to the horizontal screen. The vertical screen, there are two of those. Well, they look exactly the same. And the early ones until 2018, so what? 6 years into production, they had what's called an MCU1. MCU stands for Media Control Unit. And that is your whole screen. And everything that's behind it that you can't see that's attached to the screen. That's the Media Control Unit. That is actually your main computer in this car. This screen you're looking at has everything back there pretty much. There's a few extra modules off to the side, but this is your main computer, okay? Until 2018, that was an MCU1. What does that mean? It means it was slow. And it didn't have the capabilities of the MCU2 that came in 2018. So as the Model 3 was born and got into production late 2017, there were these changes on the media control unit here in this car to the MCU2 so that you could also have YouTube on here like you had in the Model 3. So also obviously the MCU1 is slow. It's an old processor. It's your computer from 2012. You know, it's slow, right? So many of those got upgraded. I think it was $1,400 to upgrade from a MCU1 to an MCU2 at Tesla. And they still do that today. So if you get one of those vehicles, you can still have it upgraded at Tesla to an MCU2 if you wanted to. But like I said, that's $1,400. But then you could watch videos, right? I mean, you get YouTube and stuff. So this is an extremely slow processor, so everything goes a bit slower. But it works. This still has an MCU1 in it, and it still works, basically. So there's, there's just a few less functions. With the MCU2, you get some more options and things. And obviously, the MCU2 came in 2018. It's not quite as fast as a 2021 Model S has. Then we're talking a completely different processor again. So yeah, if you get one, if someone tells you they have an MCU2, they upgraded the main unit, which I guess it's a benefit if you don't care about basically watching YouTube and stuff. I don't know, streaming. There's not as much streaming on there and things, but you can still connect on the early Teslas. You can connect your phone via Bluetooth, so you can listen to Audible audiobooks, even though there's no Audible app, even though they have it now on the new ones, right? You can stream your Spotify, you can stream via Bluetooth to the car, so you still get everything. You just have to use your phone. You can't do it naturally in the car with these old ones. And all the streaming basically works fine, even with this slow processor, so that hasn't been an issue for us at all. But yes, MCU2 upgrades are pretty common. And if you want that, maybe check it out before you buy one of these. Find an MCU1 car, play with it, see if that user interface is fast enough for you. It's probably as fast as most other cars, not Teslas, other cars, right? So it's pretty fast overall, but it's slow for a Tesla today. So yeah, that's about $1,400 that you would have to spend to upgrade that if you buy one like this here and you want MCU2, $1,400, just like that on top of your purchase price. So keep that in mind. There's all this extra money. Then these older ones here, back when, up here, they got a sunroof, okay? The sunroof went away. I'm trying to remember, was it 2016 maybe? I think it was 2016 it went away. Definitely by 2018 it was gone, definitely. This was obviously a first generation sunroof. There's a second generation. You don't really see the difference on the outside. It's kind of more on the mechanical side and how it's all made. And first generation ones were kind of leaky at times and a little trouble here or there. And that's an item that actually requires maintenance. So keep that in mind. Maintenance, you will have to go see a Tesla service center or someone that knows how to maintain such a thing, because they can stick and not open properly or not close properly, or they can leak. They can leak anyway, even if you maintain them. Then Tesla wants you to sell a second generation sunroof, which I think is like $2,800 or something. Is that what it is? I think so. So these can leak. Remember, sunroofs on these can leak. The leak will create stains, obviously in this area, or back here, on basically the trim. And if you have a black trim, you may not see that. I have gray, the regular textile, so it will leave eventually some brown stains. And I have some of those stains, so this has leaked at times. That's another thing you have to consider when you're getting one of these early ones. And so not many people really take advantage of the sunroof, so Tesla eventually went away with it. And I'm not 100% sure if you know. I think it was either 2016 or 2018 when they went away with this sunroof, just because it wasn't used much and created too many issues. Now, let's go a little back to 2013 again. This particular model, the mirrors don't fold. But you can get a 2013 and the mirrors fold. So that is possible. There are all these options. Like I said, you had a menu where you could check off what you wanted, or you could get a couple packages. This here is a base model overall, a really basic model, okay? And the rims that are on it are considered base rims. But actually, when we purchased it, it had the 21-inch rims on it that you would have on a performance model. So whoever ordered it way back when spec'd the larger rims, even though it was not a performance model. We got these after the fact, and we used these rims for the winter tires, and then we got the summer tires on the larger wheels. So, but that was an option back when. You could spec the other wheels. You didn't have to have the base wheels on the base version. Now, the base version, very basic. Basic sound. You don't get the big old subwoofer and all the speakers. You don't get the additional amplifier on the basic sound, okay? So if you have bass sound, you have bass sound. It's not bad. I mean, our speakers, half of them don't work anyway. I gotta fix that maybe someday. But we're not too big into listening to music, so it doesn't really matter to us, but to you. So sound may be an issue, may be something you want. So you want premium sound. So you need to make sure, if you want premium sound, that you have a vehicle that has premium sound, which means rather than everything just coming out of the MCU, it goes from the MCU to an amplifier and then to the speakers. And I believe you have extra speakers as well in the very back that we don't have here. So premium sound, that's another thing that's a huge difference. What other? Bass. We looked at the rims. Oh, suspension. This has coil suspension, coil springs, no air springs, okay? Same year, next VIN number up could be an air spring, okay? Now, what's the advantage, what's the disadvantage? Coil springs are overall pretty simple, right? Most cars have coil spring. That's the common thing. The advantage with this is, because the car basically sits at the same height all the time, the tires sit on the ground the same way and they don't wear uneven. If you have air springs with a Model S and you lower it because it's more efficient, right? Then your wheels actually kind of tip in on the top, out on the bottom, and you wear more on the inside of the tire. And that's maybe a common horror story you heard about how bad these tires wear. That is basically only on the air suspension Model S. The coil suspension Model S shouldn't have that unless things are worn out, right? These are old clunkers by now, so suspension parts do wear out, even on a Tesla. There's no difference, okay? So you may have to replace some suspension parts, some bushings, some control arms, whatever that may be necessary if you have a coil suspension for, so that you have your tire wear properly, that you have proper tire wear. On the air suspension though, it's mostly because it goes into low. Most people drive in low because low is like a sports car, right? And then they wear mostly on the inside. There are aftermarket kits where you can compensate for that so that in low it still rides basically nice and doesn't wear off the tire on the inside. And well, if you would take it to the track, that's when you would lose, because the low ride was designed to do fast cornering. You can take the turns extremely fast. You may have seen some old British cars where the wheels literally stand like this. That is so they can corner at extremely high speed. And so that's what the Tesla Model S air suspension was designed for early on, so you can corner at high speed, so when you lower it, the wheels come out a little bit, but then we're just driving straight down the road and we're just wearing the tires off. So you can have an aftermarket suspension kit installed for about $5,000. There we go again, more money. For about $5,000, and then it runs, you can have it in low, but it will wear the tires nice and even. Now, the air suspension has some advantages over this. Obviously, this sits at the same height. It doesn't go any lower, it doesn't go any higher. The air suspension obviously can go lower, as we just said, which makes it more aerodynamic. It's going to be a little bit more efficient. How much more? I don't know. Maybe get 5 miles more, maybe get 10 miles more. Your foot probably eats up the difference regardless. So I don't know that it makes that much of a difference. But the air suspension can also rise, and that is pretty handy. If you have to drive over a curb, well, you're gonna rip the front spoiler off down there, right? Well, with the air suspension, you can rise it, then you could get over. Now you're saying you probably don't want to drive over a curb, but there's many places where there's this drain along the road and you get into a driveway. I experienced it at many gas stations, but there's many, we don't need to go to a gas station unless we want to go to the convenience store. But there's that dip because of that drain that runs along the curb there. And well, if you can have it raised at that point, is even better. Then you're not scraping on the floor, on the ground, right? Also, this may be at home where you're going into your driveway, right? Or your driveway may have a hump, or you may have to go over some extreme speed bump somewhere. You can raise it. And the cool thing is, even back when, the car could remember where that is. And so as you're coming home, the car could remember and actually automatically raise that suspension at that point. So that was pretty cool already back then. So there's some advantages to the air suspension. Now that said, the air suspension gets old, there are issues, compressors fail, lines may fail, fittings may leak, money, right? So you got to think about this. This is not a new car anymore. It's not under warranty. But if you buy another 13 or 14-year-old car, you have that, regardless if it's a Tesla or what it is, a gas car, a diesel, or whatever. You have issues. That's just what comes with it. I'm just pointing out what your options are. So you could go with a coil spring, or you could go with air suspension. Air suspension has more potential issue than a coil spring, but it's got some nice features, right? So take it or leave it, right? You just got to make sure you know what you're buying, so that you're not going out there and someone says, oh yeah, you got air suspension. Well, make sure you have air suspension. You can see that on your screen inside. You can actually raise it and lower it in there on the screen. Everything can be done on the screen pretty much. So yeah. What else? Oh, these vehicles, they all still, I think all of them had HomeLink. I don't think that was an option. I think that was just in there. HomeLink for your garage doors, right? And currently this car has 3 garage doors programmed to it, and it works wonderful. It's no issue. So it works to this day just fine. I don't think there is really an issue with that. What else do we have? You can get roof racks for these. I got these little flappy things here you can flip up. Ah, this one, there we go. These little flappy things may actually come off. Sometimes they flip up as you're driving and you get somewhere and they're up, so you have to flip them back down. But you got 4 of them, obviously, 2 on each side, so you can put a roof rack on there for whatever, skis, bicycles, whatever you want to put on. There are 2 different styles of roof racks because of how they're attached. So pay attention. These here, first generation, is no longer available from Tesla. Second generation is still available. I'm not sure when they switched. Either 2016 or 2018. These are the 2 things. Why 2016? 2016, Tesla did a refresh on the Model S. That's when things changed, and I think that's when they changed up here, because this whole piece here kind of changed, if I remember correct. So if you want roof racks, make sure you can get roof racks before you buy the car, so you're not disappointed later that you can't get them. There are used roof racks out there. People don't sell them cheap though. They want premium money for it. So, all right, so you gotta check into that. Another option was what they call that Sub-Zero package, winter package. And that's what we need here in Montana. This car doesn't have it. It still functions fine. Most cars don't have that anyway, right? So what is it though? Well, we have heated washer nozzles, so you can spray. We have heated wipers, actually. Not the wiper itself is heated, the glass here, the windshield, actually where the wipers sit, just like your rear window. It's got this inlay, this wire inlay. You can see that on the rear windows on every car, basically. And that is in the area where the wiper is, so that you can turn that on, and then your wipers are no longer frozen to the glass, so you can actually use them. That also added what? A heated steering wheel. So, no Sub-Zero weather package or whatever it was called, no heated steering wheel, at least not early on, okay? I don't know when it became available. There's so many options and so many things. This may have become available a few years later, maybe 2016, without this package possibly. It does have heated front seats, but no heated rear seats. You need the Sub-Zero winter package for the heated rear seats as well. Now I'm trying to remember if we have heated rear view mirrors. I don't even remember now. See, there are so many freaking options. Could be part of the Sub-Zero package, or could come on with the rear window defrost. I honestly don't remember. That tells you how much I know when I drive this car, or how much it is really needed. It is not that important, obviously. The front on these here, they have the classic black nose cone. So some people painted it, so it has the car color, but basically originally they were all black. They don't have LED lights yet, right? They're a little older, so they're not nearly as bright. They have turn lights, not turn signals, turn lights or curve lights or whatever you want to call them. So if you turn the wheel, there's a light down below that looks like a fog light on each side, and if you turn the wheel a certain amount, this light will come on and like light up this area on this side or on the other side, depending on your turn, which direction you turn. So that is another thing there. The frunk on these early ones is huge. It's super huge. Actually, let's take a look in it real quick. So you can use the remote, which is car-shaped. There we go. Got to press in the right spot. And with the stuff my daughter put on here, it's a little tricky to press. But it pops the frunk. And just as they still are today, I think except for the Cybertruck, all Tesla frunks are still manual. So, but let's take a look inside here. So these early ones are only rear wheel drive. And now the front there, you can see I got a bag with chains, and there's a aftermarket charger that I have in there that we can stuff back in there. So this front here is way bigger on the early ones, because all the early ones were rear wheel drive. So if you got this big old front, it's a rear wheel drive. pretty simple to tell. Once this frunk is, well, it's actually much shorter. It only comes to about there, so it's about, you don't have the big hole going back, and it is about 4 or 6 inches shorter. That means you have a dual motor, unless somebody stuck the wrong frunk in, and it's still not a dual motor. But that is one of the easy things to see. A lot of people say they have a dual motor, and then you see a picture of the frunk, and you see that big old hole going back there. Then it's definitely not a dual motor. Dual motors came what, about 2014, 2015? Is that what it was? I think somewhere around there. Also in 2014, what came is down here, you have this grill right there. If you have in the middle something that looks like a black tennis ball, that is a Mobileye. That means that Tesla Model S has full self-driving. Now you might say, what do you mean full self-driving 2014? Some people think they had it right from the beginning in 2012. Other people think it hasn't existed till today. So in 2014, if you have this Mobileye, it looks like a black tennis ball down there, then you have full self-driving hardware 1. That's what Tesla installed back in 2014. I think towards the end of the year they started that. There are some out there with the black nose cone that have that, obviously. And then I think in 2016 that went away when they actually changed the fascia in the front. They have the newer looking style without the black nose cone. That's, I believe, when they went to hardware 2. So hardware 1, many people like it. It's Mobileye is not a Tesla product. It's a product that they integrated into the vehicle, and many people like it. They find it very useful. It works pretty good. It's obviously not what we have currently. What's FSD version 14 something we're at with hardware 4 is obviously completely different and way more advanced. But back in 2014, this was pretty top notch. So a lot of people like it, and it makes driving a lot easier. So that is one thing that came in 2014. So you may see that in an earlier model still with the black nose cone. Another thing this car doesn't have, because it's a base model, it doesn't even have parking sensors, right? We got another one that I bought, a salvage, that is just a few thousand later or so. But they had it pretty much right off the bat. They had parking sensors available. So if you want the parking sensors, there's these little dots that you see along the front and rear bumper, right? They tell you how far you're away from something. If you want those, make sure it has it, because not all of them have it. That was an option, okay? There was a package called the tech package, and I believe it was part of that. So you just got to make sure you get what you want. Don't just expect that every Tesla has all this. Nowadays, it's a little bit different. But back when, everything was on the menu, and you just check off what you want. So yes, parking sensors is one of the things. 2014, you could get full self-driving hardware 1 or autopilot 1, whatever you want to call it. And we'll get into more full self-driving a little bit later. What else did we have? There were little details like we got chrome pieces up there. Some cars don't have the chrome piece. There's just little tiny things that you could change. At the back, back in the trunk, you could get 2 jump seats in the trunk for kids facing backwards. So this could make into a 7-seater. So if someone says, I have a 7-seater, they're not just giving you some story or whatever. No, what they have is where you have your trunk, and then you lift up the lid, and down below you have more space, right? And well, down there, that's where the 2 jump seats would be. Then you fold them up, and they fold against the back seat. So you got the rear seat here, and then these jump seats facing this way. So 2 kids could actually sit in there and look out the back. So that exists too. And by the way, if you get one of those and then put those jump seats in, don't do that, because you'll be missing a very important safety thing. And that is a rear bumper. You don't see that from the outside, but the structure underneath was different if you ordered a Model S with the jump seats. It had that special rear bumper under there in case that the car gets hit from behind, it doesn't kill the people in there, you know, so they're protected, at least better protected. Obviously, if the impact's too big, it's too big, but that protected them. So if you just get the jump seats and put it in here, that is possible, but then you won't have the actual protection in the bumper. So even a minor accident could lead to injuries to the people in the very back in the third row. So, but yeah, that was an option. You could get the jump seats there. Yeah, there's just whole bunch of different things. So important is really look at what you want, what you expect, and if that really exists in that model year, you know, because it may not exist till 2018 or 2021 in a Model S, right? So you got to know, otherwise you buy something and you don't have what you want, right? We have battery packs, obviously, in different sizes. So back when there was this is an 85, Tesla Model S 85. 85 stands for 85 kilowatt hour battery pack. And that's a nominal number. Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell is it really 85 kilowatt hours or not. But this usually goes about 260 miles EPA rated range. Then you can get a P85, which is the performance version, right? And the performance version had its own set of problems, kind of with the drive unit back there, with the motor. But that is for later. But there was a P85, a performance in the early ones. Later we had, there was, performance was not enough. So a couple years later, I think it was ludicrous mode came first, right? And all these modes that were added, what is the other one? I can't think of it right now. If you can think of what, there's ludicrous mode and there was another one. Dang, I can't think of it right now. Put it down below in the comments if you know what other mode there was to make this take off, right, in the earlier models. And yeah, there was, later on, there was the cheetah stance added, and then the plaid, right? So that was the latest models here. But in the early ones, we have basically, we had the performance, and then, yeah, some had the additional modes that you could add on to it or purchase. So they would go even faster or accelerate even quicker. That was another option there. Yeah, and the different battery packs. There was actually a 40 kilowatt hour battery pack. Well, in reality, there wasn't. There was a 60 kilowatt hour battery pack, and it was software limited to 40 kilowatt hours, okay? So you may see some of those. They look exactly the same, and that's the problem. That's what I'm trying to tell you here. They all look the same, and they're so different. So the 40 kilowatt hour battery packs, obviously, they don't have that much range at all. That's less than half of this. I don't remember what the range was, 120 miles or so, maybe. I don't remember. Then there was a 60. There was a 60 kilowatt hour battery pack, and I think then it jumped from there to the 85 in the very early ones. But that all changed. Once the dual motor production started, then we had definitely a 70. I think maybe there was already a 100 kilowatt hour battery pack still on the rear wheel drive. I'm telling you, there are so many differences. No one can remember all this stuff. But that number basically tells you the size of the battery pack. So you want to look at that, because you may see a really nice Tesla Model S like this, and it may have all kinds of stuff. And it's really cheap. And then it's a 40 kilowatt hour battery pack. Then you're not going very far. Or it may be a 60 kilowatt hour battery pack. Some of those are out there and they're cheap, even in great condition, but they don't have the range. And another thing, range, supercharging, right? Everybody knows these have free supercharging. Well, no, they don't. That is kind of gone. This still has free supercharging. We got another one sitting out there. It still has free supercharging. But you may buy one and it no longer has free supercharging. Maybe because it was in an accident and it's a salvage title now. If a vehicle was in an accident, and nowadays it doesn't take much. If you crash this, the value of this is so low nowadays that the repairs go over the value immediately. So it becomes a salvage title. And if someone fixes it up and you buy it, it's all cool, but Tesla disables supercharging on any salvage title vehicle. They consider that unsafe because we don't know what damage actually was done, what was repaired, and how the repair was done. So they disable supercharging so that hopefully you're not going to supercharge and blow up. Now what they do offer is a high voltage inspection. So if someone does that repair, they can go to the Tesla service center and have the high voltage inspection done. And if it passes that inspection, free supercharging can be re-enabled. Another reason they would not have free supercharging is if someone transferred the free supercharging from this vehicle to a new vehicle they purchased. Tesla offered that every so often throughout the years, where they said, hey, you buy a new one, keep your free supercharging, take it with you from that car to the new car. And that's possible. Then your car that you're buying does no longer have free supercharging. And it's a little bit tricky sometimes to figure this out if you really do have free supercharging or not. First of all, hopefully the person that sells it to you tells you the truth. We hope. The other thing is pretty much you would just have to go see, and if it charges, and if the person maybe can show you in their history that it was free until the last day, you know, I mean, every time you go to a charger, this actually shows up in the charging history with the price, and if it's free, it shows that it was free. In the app, you can look in the app and it will actually show if it has free supercharging or not. But you have to do that right then and there when you purchase the vehicle, not look at a picture that they took, I don't know, 6 months ago and then they transferred free supercharging, right? Now, free supercharging is great. It's super slow. Till 2018 probably. Most of these charge really, really slow. When these vehicles came out in 2012, 2013, 2014, Tesla superchargers were 120 kilowatt. That was first generation. Second generation was 150 kilowatt. Those are still out there. First generations are gone. And then third generation came out, that was 250 kilowatt. And now the new ones that are now black and white, these can actually go to 500 kilowatt. So currently the Cybertruck is the fastest charging Tesla that can go to 500 kilowatt. I think there is only one version 4 supercharger in the United States right now that actually does that. All the other version 4 superchargers can do 350, I think 350, 320 or 350 on the Cybertruck. So, but back when this was produced, version 1 supercharger, 120 kilowatt. So this maxes out at 120 kilowatt. Under best conditions, you get that for like 2 seconds. It goes up, then starts dropping. This particular car here usually charges around 70 to 75 kilowatts. So pretty slow travel with those, but it's free. So take it or leave it, right? It's a trade-off. You got to give a little more time, but it does take longer to charge. So most commonly, you charge about 45 minutes with this thing so that you have enough range to really get somewhere. In many cases when we traveled, and we have a bunch of travel videos, go check those out. We did one where we traveled with this, and I made a video about how slow they actually charge. We had to charge to 100% multiple times because of the distance, 5 people, luggage, and the distance. You're sometimes forced with these older ones to charge to 100% more than, well, a Model 3 or a Model Y or a latest and greatest Model S would easily go with 65, 75% the same distance, right? So keep that in mind. The range is a bit lower. Make sure you get the right battery size. Then, yeah, the dual motors came out, so they became all-wheel drive. I don't remember exactly, 2014 or so. That's when your front goes away. The dual motors were a little bit more efficient. They had a smaller motor in the back instead of this one has the large drive unit. The rear wheel drives all have a large drive unit. While then with the dual motors, they had put a small drive unit in the back and an even smaller motor in the front. But 2 smaller motors are more efficient than 1 large motor. So these were more efficient. That's, I believe, when the 70 kilowatt hour battery came out as well. And then, like I said previously, there is a 100 kilowatt hour battery too. And now you can upgrade those batteries if you want to. Tesla, I don't believe, upgrades to the 100 kilowatt hour. You can have it upgraded, but it's not cheap. They're like 15 grand to upgrade. You can find independent repair shops that will do an upgrade, even to a 100 kilowatt hour battery pack. And they change everything over so it looks correct on the screen and your mileage estimation and everything will be right. So that's a possibility. If you have that done at an independent repair shop, you got to buy a battery pack. Prices are all over the place and change pretty fast, but you probably can find a battery pack for $5,000 to $10,000. Plus, I don't think it's more than $1,500 or $2,000 to install usually. They go pretty quick. Because these were made back when for battery swapping. You may not even have ever heard of that. NIO is one of the car brands that actually does battery swapping. They have battery swap stations, and NIO can actually drop out a smaller battery and put in a bigger battery so you can go on your road trip, and then when you come back from your road trip you put your smaller battery back in. So that's pretty interesting. And Tesla had such a design, so these battery packs basically drop out. There is just bolts, nothing else. There's nothing to connect or disconnect and then reconnect. It will automatically reconnect. They're just kind of, the coolant fittings are made to just go together, and the electrical fittings the same way. They just kind of slide into each other. It was done pretty cool, and Tesla had 1 battery swapping station, and that was it. Tesla supercharging became so fast, so much faster, or so much faster, so fast. So the supercharging evolved very quickly so that it really didn't make sense to replace a battery pack, even though the battery pack swap was like 90 seconds or something. So it was really quick, but an expensive thing for Tesla to install battery swapping stations. But it can be done. You can upgrade your battery if you want. That is not such a huge deal. Yeah, so there's just so many endless options with these. Let's go a little newer instead of very early on. The newer we come, the less options you had, the less of a menu it was to pick, the more things were just standard and put in there. So that makes it a little easier. 2016, we had an upgrade in the front where the black nose cone went away. It looked, what you pretty much still see today. It almost looks basically the same. There was a little refresh in 21. And then when again, 24? There's too many refreshes. So where everything changed a little bit, but in regards to the looks. But overall, it always looks the same. Full self-driving, let's get back to this. We talked about hardware 1, which was the Mobileye. The black tennis ball down below in the center of the grill. That's how you can tell. So even if you're shopping online, you can tell when you see the picture on there, right? You see that tennis ball on the picture. Now, in 2016, Tesla, as Tesla does, they wanted to vertically integrate, and they wanted to have their own full self-driving or autopilot at the time. And so they came out with hardware 2. That means the Mobileye was gone, so you can no longer tell. And hardware 2 then in the Model S, because remember, this is Media Control Unit 1 until 2018, then there's Media Control Unit 2. But in 2014, we had the first autopilot. In 2016, we had the second autopilot. So there had to be another computer, right? And yes, it would sit under the passenger's feet, forward there. That's where the full self-driving computer went. And at that time, they didn't have all the cameras, okay? We had front cameras. We obviously had the rear camera all along. We had, oh, by the way, it had tire pressure monitoring system too. But yeah, cameras, front and rear, but no side cameras, no cameras down here. So just not all the cameras, right? But it worked. It worked very similar to hardware 1. And in 2016, owners were told, yes, this will be full self-driving one day. Yeah, this ain't happening. So if you get a vehicle with hardware 2, you're pretty much stuck, because you don't have the cameras. It's just not all there, the stuff you need. Now, I'm trying to remember. And then I think 2018 is when hardware 2.5 came in. Oh, all these dates and changes. And yeah, I think with the Model 3, because the Model 3 came with all the cameras, and at the same time they upgraded the Model S to all the cameras on the outside, including cameras here, cameras in the B-pillar. And that was called hardware 2.5 because, well, it was basically all the same, but now we have more cameras, so hardware 2.5, right? Instead of 2, it's 2.5. People that purchased these vehicles were told you will have full self-driving someday. And yeah, if you bought a hardware 2.5, if you purchased FSD in, I think 2020 it was, you got a free upgrade to hardware 3. What's hardware 3? Same cameras, but different computer. So they will pull your 2.5 computer out, put a hardware 3 computer in by the processor, and then you had hardware 3, and you were told you get full self-driving. And yes, we have a Tesla Model 3 that has hardware 3. It came with hardware 2.5, but we bought FSD, so we were upgraded for free to hardware 3, but it does not run the current version of full self-driving. If you watch these videos, full self-driving videos, that is software version 14. And I think the Model 3 is on 12. I think it's stuck on 12. I think the processor is stuck on 12. They can't handle more on that processor. But what you're seeing all these videos of these Teslas driving like super fancy and doing everything, that is software 14. So that will not run, not on your 2.5 for sure, and also not on your hardware 3 Model S. So if you want a Tesla, like you watch the videos, full self-driving, you need to make sure you get a hardware 4. And I think that came in 2024. An easy way to see if it is hardware 4, you just look at the cameras. You can see the cameras in the front, or the cameras on the side here, or down here. You just look at them, and if it looks like it has a red shimmer, like a red halo, that is hardware 4. Then you know you have hardware 4. You can always see that on the screen inside as well, but that's an easy way to just maybe tell by pictures online to see if it has hardware 4 or not. So if you want that FSD, you need a hardware 4 vehicle. That means 2024 or later. Now we're talking a lot more money too. These, we're starting at about $5,000 to $10,000 here all day long. Well, with a 2024, well, it's only 2 years old. But you're talking still relatively cheap. You can get them around $40,000, $50,000. So you just got to shop around, maybe even cheaper. But yeah, if you want the full self-driving, hardware 2024, hardware 4 from 2024 on, hardware 3 will do pretty darn good on full self-driving. And we don't know, Tesla kind of is trying to work out for original owners of hardware 3 vehicles or hardware 2.5 that got upgraded to hardware 3 and other hardware 3 vehicles to work something out that they can make a software that actually runs on those computers. So it could be just like the software version 14, but we don't know at this point. So you got to look into that if you want the full self-driving. If you don't care about the full self-driving, don't worry about it. If you don't care about any autopilot and no safety features, this here is a plain old car, has nothing. It's got ABS and it's got traction control. It's got a backup camera. What? It's got TPMS. That's about the fancy stuff you get on this. But you could get them with more back when, and then the later it gets, obviously the more options were available in regards to ADAS, driver assistance feature, safety feature. So you really gotta pay attention when you shop around for a Model S. There's so many options, endless options. If you are looking for single pedal driving, that's another thing. So if you don't know what single pedal driving is, you're probably not looking for it, but single pedal driving is basically do everything with the accelerator pedal, and if you let go of the accelerator pedal completely, the car will come to a stop and hold itself, so you don't have to step on the brake, okay? So, this one does not have 100% single pedal driving, because it can't come to a full stop and hold. It can hold for a few seconds, but then it will release. So it's, yeah, if you want single pedal driving, you gotta pay attention. I think sometime in 2014 is when that switched. These have a regular vacuum type brake booster, like pretty much most cars still have out there. But these brake boosters are not capable of holding on their own. As you let go of the brake pedal, that's it. Then it will hold for a little bit, a couple seconds, and then it will start to roll, unless it would be totally flat or something. But so this cannot do a full single pedal driving. You will have to get off the accelerator. Regeneration will slow you down, but to come to a full stop, you have to use your brake pedal on these early ones. And I believe sometime in 2014 is when they changed the brake booster that then allowed to have hold. So that means it could hold itself without you having to step on the brake. That's another thing you have to look at. There's so many things. So it's extremely important to know all this, because otherwise you may be extremely disappointed. And that's the reason why I'm making this video series about buying a used Model S. I don't want you to be extremely disappointed. I also don't want you to be running to the bank and asking for more credit because you need more money to finance this thing that you just bought so cheap. And now it's not what you want, so you want to do some upgrades, or you may have some repairs to do. So with this video now, we mainly looked at most of these differences. Like I said, there's so many differences. So make sure you know what you want out of the car, and then make sure the car has that, okay? If it has more, that may be better, right? Maybe not, that's up to you, like air suspension. If you're looking for coil, or if you're happy with coil but it has air, that may be good, that may be bad. So, but yeah, like I said, these were a la carte. You could get so many things, and Tesla started implementing, as they still do, implementing improvements throughout the year. So you cannot say a 2013 is this, a 2014 is that, a 2015 is something else, right? You can do this with legacy car makers. If you look at a Ford something, one year they all had the head gasket go bad. 1990 Ford F whatever had head gaskets going bad. I don't know, I'm just bringing this as an example. And this is the entire model year will have that problem. But Tesla, things changed throughout. And since it was a la carte, so many different things are out there. So we just kind of touched on the surface on most of the things. I try to tell you the most important things, I guess. There's so much more, but we need to get also into the problems. I kind of mentioned some of the problems, but we need to get a little deeper into those problems to see how frequent they are, how easy they are to repair, how expensive they are to repair, and can you still get parts for it? So we got to look at all kinds of stuff like that, because these vehicles are old. I mean, even if you look at the 2016 now with the refreshed front, it's 10 years old. And it's a 10-year-old car. 10-year-old cars do have some issues. And Teslas are no different. They're great cars. They're still great cars. That's why we still have it. And my daughter has been driving it lately, going to school, forward and back, and it's not a problem. So they're still great cars, but they're not new. They have become cheap in price, But depending on how it was taken care of, who owned it, and so on and so forth, it may also be cheap and kind of trashed, or it may be in great condition. You may find one in great condition, but some battery issues. And that's what the next video will be about. We'll go more into the issues that you can find. And when you're purchasing it, it may not have any issues right then and there, but 100 miles later, it may have an issue. So we get into this so that you have an idea of what could be happening, what could go wrong with this car, and how much it will cost you, and how long you will be out of a car until this will be repaired, right? That's another thing. So, I hope you got the basics, and I hope you like this video. Give us a thumbs up for this video. If you have any questions, put them down below. I may be answering those questions either down below in the comments or in the next video. We'll see. So make sure you don't miss out on the next video. So hit subscribe down there, hit the notification bell so you get notified when the next video comes out. And as I said, give us a thumbs up for this video. And go check out our channel. Hit that channel icon down below. That takes you to our channel. We live with those cars, okay? I work on those cars. We live with those cars. This is my personal car, right? This is what I drive. We have a Model 3. We used to have a Chevy Bolt. We have a Rivian R1S. We have a Cybertruck. We live with those cars, and I repair those cars. So we know stuff. We do road trips with all of them. We tow. By the way, this can tow. Yes, some of those cars, if you buy them used, they may have a hitch on it. They didn't come from the factory with a hitch, but you can get aftermarket hitches for it. So, by the way, but I towed with this. Yes, I towed with this, and there is a video on our channel about towing with this. So they're all there. Like I already mentioned earlier, there's a road trip we did, and you can see how it is in regards to charging when you're road tripping. We drive this in the wintertime. In cold winter temperatures and snow, rear-wheel drive, right? Old clunker. So go check out that video. So there's a whole bunch of stuff there. I have a lot of DIY videos where I show what you can do. If you watch my video, you just follow it step by step. Especially on this car. There's window regulator repairs. Actually, I took a battery pack out of one of them. I disassembled the battery pack. I swapped the drive unit. We upgraded the TPMS, the tire pressure monitoring system on this. So all these videos are there. So go check out our channel. Watch those videos. Give us a thumbs up for every one of those videos. Leave comments down below. Ask your questions. I'm trying to answer all the questions we get. Sometimes YouTube's a little weird and the comment doesn't show up. I don't know. Sometimes I see it weeks later, it shows up. Sorry if I missed your comment. Maybe post it again if you don't get a response at all. So I'm trying to respond to all of them and trying to answer the questions. I'm very willing to help out with information when it comes to repairing or figuring things out. Maybe I don't know the answer to your question, but if you post it down below, maybe somebody else knows the answer. So if you know the answer to a question that I don't know, hey, why don't you answer it, right? So that way we have a nice community going, and we can keep some of these older cars going, but also enjoy the newer cars. And it doesn't even necessarily have to be a Tesla. Like I said, we had a Chevy Bolt, enjoyed it very much. We also have an R1S, a Rivian right now. So yeah, it's pretty much all about EVs these days. And there will be a part 2 where we go into common repairs, repair costs, and so on. So again, thumbs up for this video. Subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on the next video. In any event, thank you for watching. Goodbye.